On Friday, May 1, 1904, a friendly match took place in Brussels between the national teams of Belgium and France. This game marked the first ever match between national teams from European countries. The significance of the Brussels match extended beyond opening the history books of neighboring national teams. Its primary outcome was an agreement among football officials to organize a meeting aimed at establishing an international football organization to unite national federations and organize international competitions. National football leaders exchanged leisurely correspondence and even reached out to the fathers of football, the English Football Association, who already had a well-established system. However, each of the young football unions sought to independently manage football in their own countries and represent it on the international stage. The English regarded the Continental Initiative with condescension and responded uncertainly to proposals. We are also considering organizing a meeting of representatives from various unions here in London. No specific dates were mentioned. It's uncertain how long this indecision might have continued if it weren't for the Robert Guerin, a 28-year-old Frenchman and secretary of the football department of the Union of French Athletic Sports Societies. A graduated engineer and journalist at the Parisian newspaper Le Matin, Guerin was remembered by contemporaries as a highly energetic person, full of ideas, with a talent for persuasion and follow-through. He became the driving force in uniting football powers across nations. He even traveled to London twice to seek support from the English, but returned disappointed, reporting that talking to them is like cutting water with a knife. On May 1st in Brussels, Guerin discussed the situation with Edouard de Lavelay, head of the Belgian Football Federation. Both concluded that, since Lord Kinnaird, president of the English Football Association, had made it clear that England would not participate in creating an international football body, they needed to act independently. Invitations were sent to other federations, and 3 weeks later, representatives of 5 countries gathered in Paris at 229 Rue Saint-Honoré. Hirschman from the Netherlands, Schneider from Switzerland, Sulo from Denmark, the Belgians de Lavalay and Canil, and of course the French, Guerin and Espier. Sulo also represented Sweden, and Espier represented the Madrid Football Club, symbolizing Spain's presence. The German Football Union sent a telegram expressing their willingness to sign the agreement. On May 23, 1904, the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, or FIFA, was established, with Robert Guerin as its first president. The new organization immediately issued a bulletin, with point 9 stating FIFA's exclusive right to organize international competitions. Within a year, FIFA announced its intention to hold its first tournament, a world championship for clubs from 15 associations, divided into 4 groups: England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales, Belgium, the Netherlands, Spain, France, Austria, Hungary, Italy, Switzerland, Germany, Denmark, Sweden. The project was rejected by the footballing community. By the deadline for applications on August 31, 1905, no teams expressed interest in competing in the new championship. This was a significant reputational blow, and the Guerin resigned at FIFA's Third Congress. He was succeeded by Daniel Woolfall, president of the English Football Association, who was unanimously elected as FIFA's president. England joined FIFA in 1905, deciding that if the process could not be stopped, it was better to participate and eventually lead it. Under Woolfall, FIFA grew in stature, accepting new members. However, the idea of a world championship was shelved. Woolfall dismissed the idea, arguing that the continent wasn't ready for such a tournament and that the best teams already competed in the British Championship. It wasn't until the mid-1920s that discussions about organizing a world championship resumed. During nearly 2 decades, the world in football underwent significant changes. The First World War ended, drastically redrawing Europe's map, and new independent states emerged with football federations that quickly joined FIFA. The 1920s saw a football boom in Europe, with spectator interest soaring, stadiums filling with fans, and professional clubs emerging in Austria, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Italy, and Spain. The only official international competition remained the Olympic football tournaments. With the advent of professionalism, top players were barred from participating. To win, federations resorted to loopholes. Professionals temporarily assumed amateur status while being compensated for expenses. FIFA was now led by Frenchman Jules Rimet, a founder of the Parisian football club Red Star and president of the reorganized French Football Federation. Elected FIFA president in 1921, Rimet was determined to establish a world championship. Unlike Guerin, he acted patiently and strategically. On March 1st, Jules Rimet assumed his duties as FIFA president. At that time, the federation already comprised 25 member countries, including Argentina, the United States, Canada, and Chile, which had joined FIFA even before the war. The emergence of professionalism nearly caused a split within FIFA. In 1927, the British associations left the organization for the second time. Their representatives believed that a football player could either be an amateur or a professional, but not both. Moreover, FIFA's reputation was undermined by the creation of regional tournaments. Hugo Meisl, the most influential Austrian coach and official of the time, strongly advocated for a European championship for national teams. He believed it was essential to organize a tournament that all nations could participate in. Since FIFA did not respond to Meisl's proposals, he leveraged his influence and connections to establish the first international championship for national teams. The competition, launched in 1927, was named the Cup of Švehla in honor of Czechoslovak Foreign Minister Antonín Švehla, who provided strong support for Meisl's initiative. It featured the strongest teams of the time: Austria, Czechoslovakia, Italy, and Hungary. Later, the Baltic Cup emerged, involving Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. It turned out that FIFA operated on its own, while international championships existed independently. What about the 9th article of the FIFA statutes, which granted exclusive rights to organize competitions? However, Rimet had no intention of imposing sanctions on the dissenters. After all, what could he threaten them with, and what could he offer in return? FIFA had not organized any tournaments of its own, apart from the Olympic football competition. Jules Rimet had his own vision. Like Guerin, he wanted to organize a World Cup. However, he was not as impatient as FIFA's first president and sought to act thoughtfully and confidently. In 1925, Rimet discussed the possibility of a world championship with Enrique Buero, Uruguay's ambassador to Belgium and a FIFA vice president. Buero advocated for Uruguay hosting the first tournament, should it occur. Buero sought Rimet's support at the time. If there was to be a World Cup, the first one had to take place in Uruguay, recounted Mikhail Andreevich, president of the Belgrade Sports Club and head of the Yugoslav Football Association, about their conversation on Lake Geneva. When Meisl was organizing his Cup of Švehla, a special FIFA commission, at the suggestion of Rimet and his countryman Henri Delaunay, who, like Rimet, was a strong supporter of the World Cup, considered options and ways to organize the tournament. On May 29, 1928, at the FIFA Congress in Amsterdam, during and at the venue of the Olympic Games, it was decided by 23 votes in favor, 5 against, and 1 abstention, Germany, to establish the organizing committee for the World Cup, scheduled for 1930. Rimet spoke before the vote and emphasized that the decision to host the World Cup was forced due to disagreements between FIFA and the International Olympic Committee over the criteria for amateurism. The organizing committee developed a plan and regulations for the competition, the main points of which read: FIFA organizes the World Cup once every 4 years. National teams of all FIFA member federations can participate in the tournament. The tournament begins with qualifying games. If the number of applicants exceeds 32, the Olympic draw system was meant. The winner is awarded a prize, which is the property of FIFA and is transferred to the football federation of the country that wins it 3 times. All championship games are held on the territory of one federation between May 15th and June 15th. 2 problems remain to be solved: which federation would take over the organization of the championship, and how to divide the income from the championship. The Special Commission made a simple and clear decision. The tournament hosts should bear all costs, including travel expenses, for the participating teams, as well as cover any possible losses. Under this condition, FIFA will be satisfied with a miserable 10% of the proposed revenues. In May 1929, at the Barcelona Congress, these conditions were announced, and the ranks of those wishing to host the World Cup began to rapidly dwindle. Italy, Sweden, Spain, Hungary, and the Netherlands withdrew their candidacies, and Argentina, in a nice gesture, withdrew in favor of Uruguay. There is also another opinion that the other contenders were so imbued with Uruguay's justifications that they let the South Americans go ahead in a gentlemanly manner. The announcement that the first FIFA World Cup would be held in Uruguay was met, as reported in the press, with a standing ovation. The tournament was planned to follow an Olympic-style knockout system. The World Cup was initially scheduled to begin on July 16th and conclude on August 15th. However, it ended up being completed in a much shorter time frame, from July 13 to July 30. But that's an entirely different story.